Welcome, my fellow artistes, to yet another Tip-Off Tuesday. As promised, we're going to be covering our realistic texture tutorials. Say that 10 times fast. Realistic texture tutorials, realistic texture tutorials. Alright guys, now do you remember Bruce, the great white shark that we did a couple weeks ago? Here's a picture of him.
Okay.
Brucey?
Yeah.
The great white sharky? Wait, did he? A couple weeks ago?
Jeez, no, stop. Okay.
Sorry.
Ready?
Now I showed you Bruce because a lot of people have been asking me how I did the water reflection on his back. So I figured I would show you how to create realistic underwater sun reflection. Now, enough jibber jabber. Got your sketchbooks? Let's go. Alright guys, so I'm going to show you how I did the watermarks on the back of the great white. The tools that you guys are going to need are just a basic pencil for your outline, of course a brush, #1 smudger, and then for this one I used just medium charcoal, and then of course have some extra powdered charcoal at your disposal that you can use, and you can take your brush and you can dab it on there. And I'll show you how to do that in a second. First and foremost, let's get a good outline. The side of the great white here, and then its dorsal fin coming up. The outline is very, very crucial. Oh, there we are, something like that. So now, what I did is because a couple of the lines on the side of the shark are extremely sharp, I went in and highlighted the outlines of those lines with my pencil. Just kind of get a basic rough estimate of what those lines would look like. Something like this. And like I said, these were the big lines with white space. So I knew that it wasn't going to have a lot of charcoal in these areas to begin with. And then the other ones, they were so small in my reference point that this is the technique that I chose to use. So what I'm going to do here is I took a little bit of charcoal. I always dab it on the side right here, make sure I don't have too much. And then I would come in and just kind of throw a nice layer down. And what this does, in effect, is it gives you a layer of charcoal to work with, and then we're going to add by subtracting, and I'm going to show you how to do that here in a second. And there were certain sections on my reference a little darker than others, and so I'm putting a little bit darker charcoal patches where I know that they exist on the back of my shark. Just have your nice even layer distributed, something like this. And then your mono zero, I forgot to mention this guy. Very crucial for this specific drawing. So then, just go ahead and you make sure you have a nice fine point on it, something like that. Then you come in like this, you start adding by taking away, just like this. Remember, these are highlights. You just go in, something like this. And all of a sudden, boom, watermarks. And it's literally that simple. Come in, on the side, we have a couple others. Like that. And you can trace out where you want these lines to fall with a pencil. I do that sometimes, but for the sake of this demo, I'm not going to do that. I just really wanted to show you guys how to get that effect easily. And this technique that I use, being that it's kind of an additive by subtracting method, you're able to add a lot of detail that you wouldn't think you'd be able to achieve. And on these you can go super light. You know, not all of these lines are like heavy duty lines. Some of them kind of fade off into nothing, kind of like that one. And they cross and they connect to even a greater white space, such as this space right here where a lot of the lines come together. And then there's a heavier line here, let's say, and then that forks out to something smaller. And remember what I always say, the fun part about charcoal is that you can achieve different looks with more and more layers. So now that we got that down, we can take our medium, and this is a really fun part because we're able to go in here and all of a sudden we are going to highlight these lines. And how we do that is like this. Coming in, just, that's it, and that's all. And you can kind of like pull away as well. And remember, with charcoal, it's kind of like cutting hair. You add a little first. It's always easier to add than it is to subtract charcoal, especially on white paper. Same principle as hair. You don't want to cut too much off. You cut a little bit because you can always cut more off. It's hard to add hair after you've cut it off. So same thing, same principle with charcoal. It's much easier to add than it is to say whoops and use your eraser and then take it off. Something like this. And you can go in and you can make these highlights as dark as you want. I'm just using medium charcoal because this is the method that I actually used for the great white shark that we posted a couple weeks back. If you want to check out that video, that's on our YouTube channel. And we also have that on our Facebook page as well. I'll have some links down in the comments for you guys to check out if you want. But this is, here basically what you're doing is you're highlighting the white space. Think of it like that. You want to highlight by placing your charcoal next to the white space, not too hard, because you already have, now we have two layers. See this? We have the initial layer that we rubbed with the brush, and now we have our secondary layer, which is with this medium charcoal that we're actually applying straight on with our pencil, something like this. Whatever reference you use, that is going to obviously change, kind of the look and the tone that you're going for with your piece. But always remember and keep that in the back of your mind with this technique that I'm showing you, is that the whole reason why we draw like this is to highlight these white spaces and get a lot of texture, get a lot of dimension. And that's what we want. One of the reasons why this piece stands out is because of the fact that it has a lot of texture on its back. Okay, so now we're gonna use our number one smudger here. And what I like about these smudgers is that they give you the same kind of effect as, say, a brush does, but there are some differences. Now, the smudgers allow for more control, and what I mean by that is that you can push on these guys and it'll smear the charcoal into the paper and make it darker. And then one of the things I like to do, say, for example, when I'm working on a shark's like white belly, or like, say, if the shark has like a white chin or something like that, I like to use smudgers sometimes over brushes, especially on blemishes in the animal's skin, just because it gives a really good effect, super easy, and I don't find myself making too many mistakes. And you can run this smudger along the white space line, and you see how all of a sudden that white line's becoming more and more prominent. There we are. There we go. See that? Those are the kinds of effects that we can use. Just like that. Boom. See, with charcoal, it's all about technique. It's what kind of tools are you using? Something like this. You can pull this down, and all of a sudden it makes it look kind of more rounded. You can come up and you can soften these out if you want. I like to pull these lines down like that. There you are. But just follow the lines. Follow the lines, and that makes the lines pop. And if there's any lines that you really want to make them pop and give some dimension to, just highlight them. Just like that real quick. Something like that. Every line is going to be different. But something like that, I mean, and you can go in and you can make these as detailed as you wish, but these right here, these techniques that I just showed you, these are quite literally the only techniques that I used. I just spent a lot more time on the great white shark as I made those effects on that piece than I'm spending right now. Right now I'm just showing you the general gist, basically, of what you can do to make your next shark a success. There you are. That, my friends, is how we do that. Now, if you guys are using anything that uses this kind of underwater reflection effect, try this out. Now, next week, we will try yet another texture. So come again. that is it. That is all I got for you guys this week. Now remember, if you guys like this video and you guys dig what we're building here at Messer Creations, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that little bell, ding, if you guys are on YouTube, so you guys can be notified when our next video comes out. My name is Braden. You guys have just been tipped off. Hope you guys had fun, and I will see you in the next one.